Hi, it's What If Wednesday time with Susan Bennett Fisher and Martin Fisher, the co-founders of Body of Nine. So what if you understood how to manifest, how to create within your life consciously? It's one of the things that comes with finding out your natural number and understanding the second half of our Practices for Presence book about practices for presence and creation.
And this is going to be a wonderful conversation because it's not just about being a natural number 6 and being able to manifest. It's about how you can manifest no matter what your natural number is. And each of us has a slightly different way to get to the start. But once you get to the start, the steps all the way through are pretty consistent. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, and in fact it isn't, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5 done. There's a continuing cycle of making all the 5 steps and continuing the 5 steps. And there's little steps and there's big steps. It just keeps on going. It's a lifestyle as much as anything else we ever talk about.
Right. We've talked before in our earlier What If Wednesdays about the first 4 practices for presence. How do you get more present? Activating your observer, using curiosity, wonder, and awe, and being present to the moment through your natural number and your body awareness. Now we're going to talk about the 5 practices for creation, we call them. So they are, first thing, create and state your intention, make really clear, make a clear statement. Then have, hold that intention with non-attachment. Be courageous, choose wise action, and most importantly,
And always.
choose love.
So you may say, well, these are great. This is a very theoretical conversation. No, it isn't. We've used these techniques, and in fact, these techniques came about because of our journey getting from not doing Body of Nine to doing Body of Nine. And in fact, we go back even further. We can actually acknowledge that a large part of this work, these steps, is what brought Susan and I together. So we'll be talking about that as we go and other examples. And of course, all this information is in our wonderful book. And that is available on Kindle as well.
Body of Nine Practices for Presence. Mm-hmm. And it's part of our book series, our Body of Nine book series. We have this book and we have our other book, The Body of Nine, Decode Your Physiology and Discover Your True Self. And that's a much more detailed book about the whole system of Body of Nine and all the natural numbers. And this one's more about the practices. What do you do to bring yourself more present and more creating from a more conscious place?
And we're excited to announce that very shortly there will be an audio version of the book available too for those of you that like to listen as you jog or drive or one of those things. I don't recommend reading the book as you drive.
So let's talk about each of them individually. The first step, the clarifying and stating your intentions, is a really important step. And it is, so let's say you wanted to manifest a partner, a love partner. Really thinking through what are all the sort of attributes and the worldview and the way of being and the natural number of the person that you want to manifest is a really important part. And doing that along with somebody else, in particular natural number 3, if you can find one, helps to for the universe to understand what it is you're looking for, what it is you're wanting. And the more specific you are, the easier it is for the universe to line it up.
In terms of setting your intention.
Right.
And it's going to be very, very clear that you must make very specific intentions. And a lot of us have a real problem with, well, I don't know what I want. And
Yes.
that's actually okay.
It's okay, except until you have clarity around it, the universe can't manifest it for you.
Yes. So, again, depending on your natural number, though, how you decide what you want may be, okay, I know. It may be other people have this particular green car, and I like that colour green. It may be, well, I'm not totally sure, but the signs are kind of pointing me in that particular direction. You need to be specific for sure. The issue is not necessarily knowing what that specificity is.
Specificity.
That's easy for you to say. And that's okay, because this is a cyclic system, and the first time you may say, well, I want a green car, and then you may think about it, and all of a sudden something manifests and it's not green, and you may say, wow, it's still a wonderful car. So that takes us to...
Well, the non-attachment. So
Yes.
you put your universal desires out into the universal space, what I like to call adding it to universal will. So all of us put intentions into the space of the universal will. And once they're there, the universe kind of works to align those things and manifest them. But it's very important to hold that once you've released it into the universal space with non-attachment.
Yes. And so this goes back, actually, steps back.
Well, let's tell them what
through
non-attachment is first.
Getting there through.
Okay, good.
So we're going to get there through, but this is part of the don't disbelieve, because being attached to your way of thinking means this won't work. If you believe that this is impossible, it's not going to work. So that's the first level of non-attachment. Don't be attached to the fact that in your world you haven't seen it work. But it's also important not to be attached to the way that your answer shows up. And prime example of this, we were actually once upon a time looking to rent a house. We had a very specific list of things that we wanted. The universe gave us that house, and it didn't have the things that we didn't ask for.
Well, to clarify, we wanted a jacuzzi. We got a jacuzzi, but it wasn't working.
But it was still a wonderful house. So if we
and done everything but that working jacuzzi,
and so if
we left an attribute off.
Yeah, so if we'd been attached to a working jacuzzi and hadn't said we didn't want a working jacuzzi, we wouldn't have moved to that house. We wouldn't be where we are today. But the next time round, we were quite easy. The next time we looked for,
I was very clear about a working jacuzzi.
Yes, and so we manifested a working jacuzzi. So if at any point you get 6 out of 7, or you say, I want a car, I want it to be green, I want it to go from 0 to 60 in 7 seconds, and it turns out you get a Matchbox car that size, and if you drop it out of off of the second floor, it'll certainly go those speeds. That's possibly not the answer that you wanted. So part of the clarification is really a cyclic movement. You have to iterate and iterate, because most of us are not really sure what we want. Susan, when she manifested me, was very sure, but she had a lot of experience getting up to that point. She'd had a lot of experiences and was very, very clear. And she had the advantage of having a natural number 3 with her. And why natural number 3?
And that story's in our other book.
Yes.
So non-attachment to the way it looks. Non-attachment to the way it shows up. And the next step is being courageous.
Mm-hmm.
What that means is, so once you've been asked for what you need, you actually have to do something about it. You cannot say, I really want a partner, and then sit in your house. It doesn't work. Unless you're really, really lucky.
Yes, yeah. Unless you get sort of...
unless somebody invites somebody over to your house.
Or you need a roof or a plumber or something. But
yeah, so the point is, you have to be courageous. You have to get out into the world, and you have to work at what we call choosing wise actions. What are the actions you need to take to be out in the world in order to be there when the universe manifests what you need?
So none of these individual steps work on their own. You need to work through them all simultaneously, or as close to simultaneously. Yes, there's an order, but they all have to happen, because if you're not courageous, nothing's going to happen. If you make bad choices, if your decisions are not wise, again, the universe will provide, but you might not necessarily like it as much as if the universe worked with you. We firmly believe that the universe works with us.
But there's a lot of things that the universe has to line up, and if you don't clarify your intentions, you can be an unwitting recipient to somebody else who is clarifying their intentions. So, I think that's one of the reasons that bad things happen to good people, where you just weird, random, shitty things happen, and there's no way around that other than choosing to continually consciously create.
Yeah, there are some deep psychological, physiological, philosophical things that are all part of this particular set of things we're talking about here, because it is on the edge of non-body based. Most of what we like to talk about is about our bodies, but this is a way of living that your natural number, the way that your observer interacts with that is bigger than us. And we use the term universal field or field of intention, whatever phrase we use. What we're talking about today is the interaction and the working with, in conjunction, something bigger. Whether it's the law of attraction or however you want to describe it, these are the steps that help you interact with the universe, and we firmly believe the universe wants to help us when it can.
Yes, and if you don't want to believe any of the universe stuff, it's just about getting out there making choices. You create your reality by where you go, what you do, who you talk to, what you say, and what you believe. And those things can be chosen consciously. If you want to live in a calm, lovely place, you have to choose a calm, lovely place to live. You don't want to live in San Francisco in the middle of a city if you want to have fields, yeah. Right. So you have choices, and sometimes we think we don't have choices, and sometimes choices are very hard to make, and that's where the courage comes in.
Yes. And so the courage is about the ability to make the choices that aim you towards a goal. And many people have said, you've probably heard it, it's really hard to meet your goal if you don't know what your goal is. It's hard to actually make any progress towards a goal if you don't know where you're going, and certainly if you don't know where you are right now.
And I think, but I think goal is a different kind of word, because intention is broader. It's more than just a single goal, yes, or direction. And so I don't ask the universe for a goal. Right. I ask the universe for that which I need to achieve what I am here to do, whatever goal I have, right?
Yes.
It's a very different way of thinking about it. It's like, okay, so Martin and I have the goal of having Body of Nine known out in the world by as many people as possible. Mm-hmm. And we mean millions, not tens or thousands of people. So we have to be very clear in the intentions that we put out into the universe, so they're consistent, so the universe doesn't get confused about that. Because we can't go out there and say, yeah, we want 1 million people to know about this, but we don't want anybody to know about us. We can't hide in our house, although we do quite a bit. So it's like this consistency and this courage of action that need to all go together. And this choice of wise action to, because if Martin and I just sat in our house and we didn't invest in Body of Nine, and we didn't talk to people about it, and we didn't write our books, we didn't develop our platforms, and we didn't get out there on podcasts and in the news, nobody would ever hear about what we're doing. Nobody would ever know. And so we have to be courageous to communicate this, even though it's unknown out in the world relatively, and it's a little outside the way the Western world and the Eastern world think about life. And it's critical information from our perspective, our beliefs. We're clear about our beliefs around this. So that clarity of what we believe, what we're trying to accomplish, and then being willing to be courageous to get out there and say, this is important, listen to us.
Without being attached to your responses.
Right.
Because there are some people that are going to listen to this and say, yeah, just turn it off. There are other people that are going to say, wow, that's really interesting. And there's others that, on the fence, and that's perfectly wonderful, perfectly normal. What we are suggesting is that once you have clarified and stated your intentions to the universe, once you're not attached to how the universe provides it to you, once you're willing to be courageous to take the steps that you can do to move towards those intentions, once you can decide what's wise and what isn't.
For you. In the moment.
And most importantly, it's about choosing love. It's about choosing love for your fellow man. And one of the major reasons we do this is that love is so important. And we really, really believe that knowing this about yourself and the people around you will make your life easier. It'll make your life better. It'll make their lives better, no matter how good it is right now.
And choosing love is at the center of this creation of intention. The universe aligns around love and is powered by love. And this is not romantic love, except when it is. But it is this deep love for humanity, for each other, for the goodness in people and the world, for the beauty in the world. It's really, it's a love of the wisdom of the nine. So each of the natural numbers has a function and brings a specific gift to the world. And when you learn to love and appreciate each of those 9 gifts, all of a sudden something new is available to you. And it's extraordinarily powerful. If you learn from natural number 1 to honor all beings and to treat each person with respect, we learn from 2 how to enliven our connections and engage. We learn from 3 to bring joy as the power for our experiences in life, to know that we're truly on our purposeful path when our joy is present.
And to help others understand what it is that their intentions can provide.
And then if we're doing all that in alignment and authenticity with who we are, that's the beginning.
And there's courage. If you want to talk about wise action and courage, becoming authentic, that's a tough one.
It is a tough one. That's why the 4s are sort of pissed off at all of us.
I think so, yes.
Then you have the process of 5 through 9, which is about what are you manifesting, what are you creating, and how are we doing it as a community. And when you begin to love each of the perspectives and choose to hold them as part of the way you hold your life in toto, new things become available. And the universe easily and comfortably does align to support you in your purpose, when it's powered by fundamental love.
Bad things still happen to good people.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing your natural number, having intentions, not being attached to the outcome of your intentions, being courageous, making wise action, choosing love is part of why we guarantee that by knowing your natural number within 6 months to a year, you'll be happier.
And more clear, and hopefully in a place to understand others.
And our experience is that when your intentions are clearly stated, they're much more likely to happen.
Yes. So glad I got you.
Right back at you.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
We'll see you next time.